If you've ever bought accessories for your Mazda or even Honda vehicles, you might have heard of a place called a Mikstore. And honestly, a lot of their stuff is great. It's just that they have literally no instructions for some of the more complicated stuff. And one of the things that I was really interested in are these LED reflector kits. And as you can see, when you have the turn signal on, it will be sequential. When you first start up the car, it'll also have like a soft turn on effect. This right here is everything that I use to complete the project for me. You don't necessarily need these replacement clips. I was just missing a lot in my trunk area after some recent body work, but this thing is really nice. This is a metal clip remover tool. Really nice, much better than the plastic ones. Some wire cutters, box cutters, vampire clips, which these things are always kind of finicky to use, but they are probably the easiest way to get this project done. You don't need anything this size, but something to really kind of get those clips nice and secure on where we're going to put them. A Phillips head screwdriver, and lastly a drill, some drill bits. You'll see why you might be able to get away with something else, and while not required, it will definitely make your life easier if you use some ramps on your rear wheels just to get you a little bit of extra working space, starting with removing the actual reflectors. So down here underneath the car, there's going to be one on either side, of course, but right over here, there is this screw. That is the only thing that is holding this in. And what that actually looks like on the reflector side, right in the center, it gets held in with a screw. Once you remove that, there's also this tab that's kind of retaining it in place. So unscrew it, and then you can just pop it out at an angle and do the same exact thing on the opposite side. Since I already have mine installed and I don't have enough slack with the cable, I can't take it out to show you, but the difference obviously with the new ones is that it has a wire coming out. So what I did is beside of the screw post, I just drilled out a little by little until I had enough space to run the wire through. And definitely take your time. You don't want to ruin the original screw hole. That way that you can still utilize that screw to retain it on there. And this is the driver's side, and I'll show you where I ran that cable. And we'll show you from above once we get there. But this wire goes up and around. I'm going around my exhaust. And right there is where it enters the trunk area. And this right here is a look at the passenger side. Same exact idea with the wire and drilling out space for that. And if you follow the wire, same idea. It goes up into something. Back up at the trunk area, we're going to be removing the floor. And as you'll see, I am missing quite a lot of stuff. Normally you have some foam here on the sides kind of holding everything in. I had already removed that and just instead used it for just miscellaneous storage. You don't need to do that. Here at the bottom is where we're going to start. Now, there are a couple clips, one here and one here. Have to pop these off. A word of advice, as you're taking these clips up, put them somewhere that you won't lose them, just to save yourself a headache when you're putting all of these clips back together. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience. The other things that we're going to have to remove are these plastic panels here. And you might be able to just kind of go in there and pop them off like this. If you can't, then you can certainly pick up some sort of tool like this. If you manage, or if you happen to pick up the clip package that I bought, it'll come with stuff like this just to make this a little easier if yours are a little tighter than mine, which they probably will be because these take on and off quite a lot. But do the same exact thing on the other side. The only difference is that since this has a light, it's going to have a wire on it, so just be a little careful as you're popping that off. Right here, there's that wire. You can just simply unplug that. With that layer gone, we can move on to these clips. Again, these are non-OEM. Yours will be a little bit different, but similar idea. Just pop these off very carefully. If you're planning to reuse them, you definitely do not want to be breaking them. And we can skip ahead a little bit and move on to this side. There's this little panel right here. You can just use whatever you've been using to pop things off and just gently pry that off again. You really want to be careful not to break these things. You want to keep everything as original as you can. But now that that is done, we can kind of turn back down to where we started. And this should be able to kind of pry off. Mine is a lot easier to come off than yours probably will, because I've already done this a number of times. And you'll have to remove it at a slight angle, but it will come off just like that. And the next stage of clips are right here and right here. So just take those off. With that one done, we have the majority of everything released. Now we have to gently pry this out. It might actually be on there a little firmer than you would think. You can just pry it back out. And now we finally have access to one of the places that we needed. Now here on the passenger side, we're in the home stretch. We just have to get this panel, this black panel, moved out of the way. And it's a little tricky because it is held in by this, and you have to move it kind of both directions, a little bit to the side and a little bit down. So you can start wherever you feel is just easier. So I'm going to try to push it down, release that clip. Now that I have that one released, I can just push this gently to the side and it will release. And thankfully, I managed to notice there is one additional clip down at the bottom, so take that one out. Now that we have access to that passenger side compartment, the way that I actually ran the cable through is this clip right here. This black clip is meant to retain this cable in place, but if you drill dead center, it'll go straight down, and as long as your drill bit is wide enough to accommodate this wire, it will be the perfect size for you to run this wire through. The other thing that I did to make sure that this was never going to go back outside, or like the slack of the cable wouldn't go back outside, was tie a semi-tight, not too tight knot right here with the actual wire itself. And we have access to the cables that we need, which the main important one is this one right here. This is going out to your rear light. We're going to be tapping into that. That way they can kind of be in sync. So if we go back to the other side, this is the cable that we're looking for, and it connects down here. Hopefully you can see that. It connects down here. So what I did was use the box cutters to gently cut the black sheathing to expose these cables. Be very careful when you're doing that, that you're only cutting into this black sheathing right here, because if you cut too far and actually damage one of these cables, you're going to have problems with this light. So take your time, no rush, and probably expose more of the cable than I did. That way you have a lot more room to apply these clips, because I barely had enough space as it is. You can follow this on screen along to show you what wire corresponds to what. So follow this and make sure that your clips are securely in place. If you have to, use some pliers to make sure that they are very, very firm. And before you tidy everything up, absolutely turn the car on and check to see that it is actually lighting up before you put everything else back together. Now we can move on to the driver's side. Make sure that that little clip is removed over there. Same exact procedure. You can slide this open to the side, and this is very, very familiar. So we have to slide those things out, and then down at the bottom there is one singular clip. So get that out of place and we can work on it. Now that we have access here, you can see that there's way more room to work with than on the other side. Same exact idea for getting the cable inside the car, except this one was a little rubber piece. We just drilled a hole right through it. We were able to feed the wire in, tie a little knot to make sure this doesn't come out, and then back to wiring. Once you have that side wired up, again, turn the car on, make sure that it actually turns on. And of course, afterwards, you're going to want to make sure to reinstall two panels in particular before you think you're just clear, and that is these two panels on either side. Put those back on, test again to make sure that the lights actually come on, because once these panels are in place, those wires are going to be secure. There's nothing going to be rubbing up against them. So if the lights behave properly after you put these panels on, you're golden. You can put all of these panels and all of these clips back in place. And I really hope that you kept up with your clips, because otherwise you're going to have a bad time. I've had these lights now for a few months with no issues to report, but if something changes, I'll leave a pinned comment down below, so keep an eye out for that. But I think if you do a decent job of installing stuff, you know, just double checking stuff along the way, you're probably gonna have a good time with them too. Honestly, it took me a while to go back and film this because it was really annoying to do with all the clips and panels and stuff, especially since I was missing so many clips. It was extra annoying. But shout out to this guy for showing me his process. That's what gave me the inspiration, the ideas to make it a little bit cleaner and hopefully a little bit easier for you guys to follow along. So I really hope this helps some of you out. Definitely leave a like if it did. Subscribe to the channel for this and other completely non-related stuff. Definitely would be appreciated too. And I'm gonna leave my links down below to everything that I use. If you have anything else, you know, just leave a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you. Anyway, thanks for watching, man. See ya.